And feeling like P. Diddy.
Hey, what up,
Grab
girl?
my glasses, I'm out the door. I'm gonna hit this city.
Let's go.
Before I leave, brush my teeth with a bottle of Jack. Cause when I leave for the night, I ain't coming back. I'm talking pedicure on our toes. Trying on all our clothes. Boys blowing up our phones. Drop top and playing our favorite CDs. Pulling up to the parties. Trying to get a little bit tipsy. Don't stop, make it pop. DJ, blow my speakers up tonight. I'ma fight till we see the sun.
The First Crusade was initiated by Pope Urban II in response to Emperor Alexius' cry for help against Muslim occupation. Their main goal was to capture Jerusalem, which had been under Muslim control since 636.
The lawn has been transported back in time, weeks before the First Crusade reaches Jerusalem.
What?
To understand the Crusades, you must be familiar with Islamic history at that time. Before the First Crusades arrived, the Seljuk Turks, who were Sunni, had been beaten by the Fatimid Shia and now ruled Jerusalem. Inside the city lived many different religions, including Muslims, Jews, and some Christians. The Muslim perspective on the First Crusade was not coordinated because they were divided into multiple groups after the fall of the Umayyad Empire, and they did not view the attacking force as legitimate because they had never directly faced them before due to Western Europe's former isolation. Both the roots of the Crusades and the Jihad reached back all the way to the Old Testament and were very sacred to both peoples. As an idea, Jihad possessed a definable content in early Islam, but never seems to have been embraced entirely in practical terms. As a result, a unified Jihad was not formed during the First Crusade. Instead, the Muslim forces were not only fighting the Crusaders, but were also struggling with internal conflicts as well. Because the First Crusade took place after the fall of the Umayyad Empire, they were fighting the Turkish Sunnis and groups of Shiites all over Arabia, and this caused an ununified reaction to the Crusaders. They were described as sporadic and fragmented because they lacked a central jihad. And this led to the Christian, Catholic, and Orthodox win over Jerusalem because some of the groups did not see them as a legitimate force, and there were many differentiating opinions on them. The first group that was sent is called the People's Crusade, which consisted of a group of poor peasants who were an unruly and ununified attacking force. Then a second wave was sent of trained soldiers who were seen as a surprising force compared to the peasants. The Crusaders captured Nicaea, Dorylaeum, and Antioch as they marched to Jerusalem. Their army was estimated to have been around 30,000 men. They were an unforgiving and intimidating force as they battled their way through the Arab world, trying to reach their destination.
From what I've seen,
been outside of the city of Jerusalem for weeks, and today they are attacking. The Turks, Jews, Sunni, and Shia Muslims are all fighting in confusion. After a 7-week siege, the Crusaders entered the city of Jerusalem and began a violent battle. They entered through siege towers, which allowed thousands of men to pour in. On June 7th, 1099, the Christian Crusaders had officially captured Jerusalem.
One of the reasons the Battle of Jerusalem is so famous is because of the violence the Christian forces showed the civilians. Their attack, although successful, caused much hatred to be shown to them later on because of these actions. One Muslim writer documented that the Franks are full of zeal and jealousy, reflecting upon their attack. It has been said that religious tolerance is not a characteristic often associated with the Christians during the First Crusades or many other events in history. One result from the Christians' attitude toward the Muslims during the First Crusade was the Muslims then had a unified force to attack, which brought many different people together. Eventually, the Christians lost control of Jerusalem because they did not have a supply force that could connect them to Western Europe, which led to the downfall of their control. Overall, the First Crusade was a monumental event in history because it defined the Muslim and Christian relationship for a long time afterwards. Historians are able to trace much of the First Crusade because the opposing forces' documentation of the battle are not in opposition to each other, but are in agreement with each other. To this day, traces of the Crusades are to be found in the myths, metaphors, folk memories, and languages of both the Western and Arab worlds.
Hold on, sit down. I'm about to teach about the First Crusade.